Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our Power Thinking, Rejuvenating Your Amazing Mind training for Wednesday. It is August the 12th, 2026. This is our 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time edition, and I'm your moderator. And I'm joined by one of our newest Power Thinking Corp mobile app users, Leah Garcia, who is a financial expert, helps many people with multiple solutions from a financial standpoint. And of course, we are here every week to help you to build those absolutely essential skills of resilience so that when those tough times hit, not if they ever hit, but when they hit, you are ready. You can bounce back faster. We're seeing a lot on television, whether it's wars or extreme weather conditions around the country, from heat to fires to tornadoes to floods, and in other parts of the world, earthquakes. But you just never know when something's going to hit, and it could be something as relatively minor as just a disagreement with a colleague or a boss, or you're not seeing eye to eye with a family member. These are the things that happen in our lives. And as long as we're living, we're going to have those ups and downs. The only thing that we need to be afraid of is what people would love to have is when it just goes nice and smooth. But when it's nice and flat, you're flatline, which means you're dead. You're not here anymore. So as long as we are here, we need to make sure that we're using our power to overcome any setback, not to avoid setbacks. They'll happen, but be able to overcome. So this is all about helping you to retrain your brain. And of course, if you don't have the Power Thinking Corp mobile app, make sure you download it. And you're getting those notifications throughout the course of the day, every single day of the week. The mini micro lessons through the videos that we share, so that we reinforce, those 7 strengths of resilience and the 7 skills. So today we are focusing on your financial resilience, your financial success, and at the core of that financial success is being able to generate additional income for yourself and for your family. And one of the ways that we need to consider is through entrepreneurship, through sales, and sales of insurance, of investments, of real estate, but of your own product. Whatever you create or service, it's going to require you getting yourself out there, stepping out of your comfort zone, and in many cases, making cold calls. And what we find is that most people not only are comfortable making cold calls, but they'll tend to give up after so many rejections, because most of the time, while people expect when they make a phone call and they hope that a person's going to say yes to whatever their proposition is, the reality is that 8 out of 10 will hang up or won't want to listen to your presentation, your pitch, and for most people, that is too much rejection. So the question is, can we reduce that cold calling that most human beings have and that they stay away from, so that they can, have a life where there's no cap on income, and there's all kinds of other perks associated. So we shared a video with you, a 2.5 minute video, just 2.5 minutes, but a great clip from the movie, 2006 movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, the story about Chris Gardner, who went from being homeless to being a millionaire, and at the core of it was his resilience associated with doing the things that most people wouldn't do. And what you saw there was just brief a clip of this whole phone call and cold calling experience. And what you saw was he, turned this cold calling into excitement, because by continuing to make those calls diligently, he was able to get a yes. And many times you're surprised by that, because after a while you just go, okay, we just keep cranking through. I'm getting these no's, and then pow, somebody's receptive. You have an appointment, you have an opportunity. So let me introduce co-host Leah Garcia. And Leah, thank you so much for joining us and joining the Power Thinking Corp family. We're honored that you are part of our group now. Love to hear about you, your background, and what you're doing today, and some thoughts about cold calling. Welcome.
Well, Stanley, you and I have been friends for quite some time on LinkedIn, so this is really overdue. Absolutely. I love the work you do, the value you bring, and the passion that you bring it with. And I am Leah Garcia. I'm the Dynasty Builder. I'm a financial and legacy strategist. I help business owners and I teach them how to properly protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth so that they can build that legacy, because I believe your wealth today should be your dynasty tomorrow. My background is I grew up in the east side of San Jose on food stamps and welfare, on the wrong side of the tracks. And really, I would go visit other neighborhoods and I would see families and homes with green grass and shiny cars. And I would always ask my parents, why don't we have this? Right. And they just thought I was this little precocious little kid, and I was. But one day I saw this TV commercial and the announcer said, if you spray Windex on your windows, your whole world will sparkle. I begged my mom for Windex. She tried to give me the knockoff brand. Listen, we were poor, right? We weren't even poor. We were poor. But I wanted that Windex, and I used to shine up those panes of that broken down house with the leaky floors and everything. And I just always believed that I was here to do something great. Like many of you, you're probably here because you've got a passion inside of you. You've got something, a dream, a vision that you want to achieve. I believe that if you're here, it's because you were born to do something great. So that's what I want to share, Mr. Stanley.
That's fantastic. So tell us about your company today, and what you do, and how cold calling played a role in your success.
Well, today I run a full service financial firm. I'm building a team in many states. I operate in many, many states, but I didn't start out here. I started out selling health insurance, and I was very blessed because the company I was with and my mentors and leaders, they required us to do cold calls. We were required to do 100 cold calls a day. Our
What
goal was
company?
Health Markets. They're still
Health
around
Market.
today. I was with them for several years. I adored that company. Still, some of my leaders, my good friends are still there, adored it. And a lot of people might think, well, why would they start with cold calling? And probably in the beginning, I didn't like it either. They gave me a stack of B leads. Okay. I don't know if you guys know what B leads is. This is old stuff. These were the leads that people had called and they were rejections. So they gave me a stack and they said, you have to set 10 appointments or you cannot come back. This was on Friday, so I had the whole weekend. And you know what? I have a heart of a champion. I want to do something great. Listen, I was starving. I had to feed myself. I had to figure out what to do. And so I wanted to win. I went through that whole stack of B leads and I didn't set 10 appointments. I set 16 appointments. I showed up
Wow.
on Monday and they're like, okay, Betty, how many appointments do you have? 3. Okay, Bobby, how many do you have? 4. Okay, Alicia, how many appointments do you have? 2. Leah, how many appointments do you have? 16. They're like, 16? Where did you do that? Well, you know that stack of leads that you gave me? I called every single one. I didn't know about overcoming objections. I didn't know anything. But you know what? I had a passion and I know how to make a friend. I was making friends on those phone calls. And yes, I went and saw 16 appointments that first week. Every single one was there. Every single person showed up. And guess how many I closed, Mr. Green?
How many did you close? How many?
Goose egg, 0,
Wow.
nada, not one. But you know what? I started learning. And what I learned was that was a possibility that I could close because I saw other people doing it and nobody was setting more appointments than me. Listen, I was the joke of the office. They would say, "Oh, just follow Leah around and close all the business she doesn't close." But you know what? In just a couple of years, I took myself to the very top of that company. And
Wow.
I believe it's because I learned the skill of cold calling. Now, in the beginning, I was just dialing and smiling, trying to make a friend and trying to get their attention. But then I started to learn some skills. I started to learn attention grabbers. I started to learn how to increase my energy. Stand up when you style, when you dial. Don't hang up the phone, just like what you said, right? You just
Yeah.
click the button, go to the next. And when people tell you no, what happens is you develop more confidence and a thicker skin. And I think too many of us are thin skinned and we get hypersensitive, we get rejection, we feel like everybody hates me, nobody likes me. Listen, if we're entrepreneurs, we got to understand people are going to say no, people are going to put you down. And really, the cold calling to me is something I do even till today. Now, I don't make 100 calls a day or a week. I may
Sure.
make 5 or 10.
Hmm.
Yesterday I made two, today I made one, but it does so much for you. And one thing that I really believe cold calling does for me today is it keeps me humble because people still tell me no. Yesterday, why are you calling me? Take me off your list. How did you get this number? And so it really helps to keep me humble. It keeps me sharp. It keeps me fortified with why I'm doing this. I know that if that person listens to me, I'm going to change their life. I understand that I'm going to transform their finances. I'm going to probably put thousands and even hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into their future. I'm going to get them out of debt. I'm going to help them to plan for their legacy. I'm going to help them to grow their money without risk. So I don't, even though it still is not fun when people say no, I
Hmm.
understand when they say yes, it's everything, right? That's where all the gold is. That's where all the treasure is. And I just would really encourage anyone who isn't cold calling, if you've got a business, you're an entrepreneur, I would encourage you to start cold calling. If you need some help, reach out to me. Listen, I love cold calling. I'll give you
Yeah.
some pointers, totally free, no obligation, because I believe this is probably the missing gap because I see so many people who are talented. They've got a passion. They've got something that is viable. They have a product. They have a crusade, but they don't develop the cold calling. If they
Yes.
develop that muscle, they could they could totally transform their life.
Tremendous. Tremendous. Well, what I'd like to do is I'm going to go to our phone lines. We have Carla Hill on. I want to hear from Carla, and then get your comments, and then we'll go through some of what we do with power thinking and how that relates to cold calling. Because I, had the privilege of training AFLAC representatives for half the state of Pennsylvania as they came in, and there were some things that we found where what we do with power thinking was very, very applicable. So let's go to Carla Hill first. Carla, let us know where you're calling from and your thoughts about cold calling. Welcome.
Yes, hi. Carla Hill. Welcome, the newest Power Thinking member to the family. Calling from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Just on a mini getaway with some family members.
Great.
And I've done cold calling in different sectors. When I first got out of undergrad, one of my first jobs was cold calling for surveys in marketing research. And even then, you get hung up on. So it it's a skill set. I've done it in real estate. I've done it in insurance. I've done it in different fields. And why I liked the video clip that you shared, it showed that you can really get distracted, do everything else except what you're supposed to do. Like you said, drinking excess water, hanging up the phone, all sorts of things to avoid the thing that you're really supposed to be doing. So just the skills that the program focuses on and has us do to become resilience practitioners, whether it's emotional regulation, right? It's just so many things that we have to practice. It's not that I know I don't have it naturally, right? But it's reframing. And what I also picked up in the video was he prioritized also, and that's what I've learned in terms of transitioning from full-time employee for 35 years, part-time entrepreneur to full-time entrepreneur, is that you really have to know what you're looking for as well, right? Who's looking for me? Who needs my services? And really going down deep there. So when he saw that he was running out of time, he saw him move up that list to that CEO, right? So what if he had a list of all CEOs, right? So that's what I was thinking as I was reviewing it. So again, thank you for allowing me to share, and thanks for the vision. And again, welcome.
Thank you, Carla. Really appreciate that. Leah, your thoughts?
I love that she's been doing it. And I just, again, I don't even know how to quantify how important cold calling is. You will definitely build up that bank. And here's the thing that I don't know how to really explain this, but what will happen, even if you go all day long, say you make 100 calls and you get 100 no's, you might feel a little bit rejection. It might feel a little bad. And maybe you have a nice little glass of, coconut water to refresh yourself. But what will happen is your energy is going to shift. And I promise you, you're going to get a call out of the blue. You're going to get a referral from somewhere else. You're going to meet someone who's going to say, hey, I have been looking for you and what you do. I truly believe that cold calling expands your energy and it opens up space for opportunity.
It does. It does. So let me start first with, one of my experiences with cold calling, and then go through those inner strengths and skills of resilience, and share what is relevant, and certainly get my co-host Leah's comments about that. So when I started Power Thinking, actually, this is a special day because it was on this day years ago that we formed and created Power Thinking in July of 2011, and it was August 12th. Today, we actually had completed the acquisition of a company called Reflective Learning. We bought their assets, and they had been going for 5 years doing this resilience training. They spent millions of dollars creating 2 6-hour online courses on resilience. And this material came out of the University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center, led by who was considered the father of positive psychology, Dr. Martin Seligman. And he and his team were part of this company. They were paid to create these courses after decades and decades of research. I mean, it was a big deal. There was a technology transfer from the university to the company that we were able to acquire, and they went for 5 years trying to sell the course corporations, their employees, and the one for the young people, teenagers, to school districts. And while they did make sales, they just weren't hitting the numbers based on what was invested, and the company shut down. And when I came across the company, I thought, wow, this material is definitely useful across the world, around the world, and so I was committed to doing whatever I could to self-fund this and hold on to it and find a way that we can be effective with it around the world, and to hold out and to be here when the market was ready. The market today is much better than it was 16 years ago, 15 years ago. As it relates to mental health, mental well-being, there's more discussion about it, reaching out for help. And so here we are. And there are applications for sales, and particularly for cold calling, because the most, and I'm sure Leah, you would agree, the most important aspect of cold calling is one's grit and resilience. It's not necessarily just the gift of gab um, or your sales knowledge. It is really your ability to get through rejection unscathed, and you just keep moving. And so the seven inner strengths that were identified are definitely applicable when it comes to what we're doing with cold calling. And what people have to understand is that while we may have jobs that may be great paying jobs and we're getting paid every couple of weeks, when you are able to successfully cold call, step out of your comfort zone, and do this cold calling on an ongoing basis, you'll find that uh, you'll be able to make the kind of money that you never dreamed that you could make. For example, in insurance sales with Aflac, and I got into Aflac after starting this company, funding it myself, teaching in Beijing, China, in Chongqing, China, for the Japan Positive Psychology Association in Tokyo, doing this for various companies, where you would get paid your fees, but you needed more continuous income. Number one, to keep the company funded, and I signed up with an insurance company. It was the second time that I've ever had an insurance license. I had one going back decades ago, and I joined a company called Aflac. And one of the cool things about Aflac is that they had four ways that you were compensated. Number one was your straight commission. When you're selling a health product like a cancer plan, where people get thousands of dollars, tens of thousands if they have cancer, or in case of critical care, critical care plan, you get a heart attack, stroke, 25 grand paid right off the bat, and these kinds of things when life throws the curveball. So you had your commission, and then there would be bonuses, right? And trips. Then there's renewals. And Leah, you can relate to this. Every month there is a payout associated with the policyholders you have and the fact that they're continuing to pay on those policies. And it was even vested after 10 years, 100% of those renewals are vested, so that even if you stopped and never did it again, you would still get those renewals. And then there was company stock. A portion of your commission goes towards the acquisition of the company stock. And you had the ability to just continue to grow it and grow it and grow it. They didn't say, well, this is about the most that you can get at this level. Your territory was everywhere. It's anywhere in the country. You get yourself licensed there, and you start making your cold calls, and your income, wasn't capped. And so the folks who weren't afraid, to push through and make these phone calls and these cold calls and didn't have that anxiety, they did very, very well, regardless of whether they, had an incredible gift, connect with people or not. It was their ability to just keep going, because ultimately somebody's going to say yes, even if you're not that good, because person may say, well, I just need the product. The person is not that polished, but hey, the timing's right because it's something that I need. So we have these seven inner strengths that definitely relate to what a person needs to be able to push through when they have this anxiety. And remember, anxiety is one of those five big negative emotions. It is that fear of a future threat. And that future threat may be, hey, they're going to say no, I'll never succeed in this. So there's emotion regulation. That's a big emotion, that anxiety. And the emotion regulation and what we do with power thinking is the ability to stay calm under pressure. There's impulse control, the ability not to say or do the first thing that comes to mind. And Leah, you would agree, right, that the impulse that folks have to control is that impulse to quit, to give up, right? Which happens for many people, like just about on every call. There's empathy, there's self-efficacy, that belief that you have control over your ability to succeed. The next strength is optimism. Even though I've called 50 times, 50 folks, and got rejected 50, but I know at some point I'm going to get a yes. There's that causal analysis, drilling down to the root cause of a situation or problem, and then reaching out connecting with others and reaching out for help when you're having some challenges and taking action, making the next call and making the next call. Leah, what do you think about those inner strengths as it relates to making cold calls?
Yeah, what you said about reaching out, I think, well, two things. One is that cold calling is a skill. I was not born a cold calling queen, okay, but now I'm a cold calling samurai. I can say that. But I've made thousands and thousands of cold calls. And when you talk about reaching out, if you are a cold caller or you want to start cold calling, I would say you need a team because you're going to feel a little bit vulnerable. You're going to get a little bit beat up a little bit, and you need a soft place to land. You need somebody who can patch you up, that you can kind of download how you feel, and then you go back and you can do it again because it's not doing it one time, one day, one week. It's doing it day after day after day. I made 300 to 500 cold calls every day for over a year.
Wow.
Let me say that again. 300 to 500 cold calls, hand dialing every week for over a year. But what happened is by that second year, I, was at the top, almost at the top of the company.
Wow.
So it really is building that mastermind alliance, I would call it. But yes, having somebody that you can reach out to and that you can role play, right? Don't just have the rebuttals, but also have those attention grabbers. What are those things that you can say to grab someone's attention? I think those are really, really great. And also self efficacy. You've got to be true to yourself. One of the things that is to me about cold calling is it's going to refine who you are. You're going to know what you really believe in and what you don't believe in because you cannot be making that amount of cold calls on something that that you don't believe in. I believe in what I was doing. We sold Aflac was one of our biggest competitors. We sold those cancer policies and all that. And so I believed in it, which gave me the fortitude to continue to make those calls.
Yeah, that's tremendous. And yeah, and as I mentioned, I became a resilience trainer for Aflac within my first 6 months with the company, based on me using this material. So those are the strengths. And how do we get stronger? There are skills that we need to practice on an ongoing basis, and the big ones. I'm not going to go into all seven, but the big ones are number one, calming and focusing. We see athletes when they are, on the, let's say a basketball player on the free throw line. First thing they do, take a deep breath, calm themselves down. So before making those calls, if you're nervous, it's like before going on stage, before doing a speech, take those deep breaths, 6 seconds in, exhale, 6 seconds slowly, and calm the nerves a little bit. And that's one of our skills of resilience, calming and focusing. Another big one is avoiding the thinking traps. As we are making these cold calls, there are a lot of thoughts. Remember, our brains are processing 50,000 thoughts a day. 70 to 80% of those thoughts are negative. So we'll tend to jump to conclusions about what's going to happen with the call. That's a trap, right? We tend to minimize and magnify. That's another thinking trap. We'll minimize the positive that's going on, the fact that we made so many calls, that some folks may have expressed some interest, but not today. But we'll magnify the negative. So somebody cursed me out and hung up, and that's what'll stay with us, and that's magnified. There'll be emotional reasoning. I'm anxious, so maybe I'm not cut out for this. And so we're reasoning that, we're not cut out for it because we're having this feeling, and everyone has those feelings. Those are just a few. Oh, and this is the biggest one: personalizing, beating ourselves up too much. When we're doing okay, we'll tend to think that we're not. Those are just some of the thinking traps. They're just a couple of the 7 skills that definitely can be helpful to us when we're cold calling. Leah, can you wrap it up and your closing thoughts about this subject and the potential for us to go very far if we can overcome the cold calling anxiety, and how people can reach you?
I would say for me, I love Mel Robbins, and she says you can you can flip the script. If you're feeling anxious, you're feeling, you're not excited, you're feeling very stressed, you can flip that and turn that and tell yourself that you're feeling excited. It is the same endorphins and everything in your body. So that's number one. Number two, I would say absolutely get a mastermind alliance. And I would implore you, maybe you feel like you cannot do 100, make one cold call a day. If you made one cold call a day over 30 days, that would be 30 new conversations. And watch what happens over 100 days, because we're champions. We never go 90 days. We always go through the goal. And one thing I did also that might help people, I would send thank you cards. So we had addresses associated with their number. I would verify. If they said, well, maybe call me back, or, they just like me. I don't need it, but you seem really friendly. I would write them a little thank you card. I kept a stack of thank you cards and stamps, and I'd send them a little thank you card. And you know what? People would send me referrals. People I never met, never closed, would give a referral to me. And I truly believe if you want to take yourself from zero to hero, cold calling is the gold and the treasure, and it's the gift that will keep on giving.
Fantastic. And how do people get in touch with you, Leah?
I am all over social media. LinkedIn is my home. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I also have my Biz in a Box. I'll put that in the website, which is more than a website. It's an interactive experience. You can download my free ebook, The Wall of Wealth, take my money quiz. You can also see my Magic Maverick and the Treasure Map, which is a story with a parable that I created with my beautiful, precious grandson.
Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining us and being my co-host for this edition of Power Thinking. And thank you for being a new Power Thinking Corp mobile app user. We really are honored that you are part of our community. So we'll end here, and we'll get to our folks. I'll just mention a couple of folks, give them a shout out who are on our phone lines as we wrap up very quickly. Folks, thank you for joining us. And I see Layla and Bill. Thanks for joining us. And we see Damon, and appreciate you as well. Make it a fantastic remainder of the week, and we'll talk to you soon. Everyone else, we just have to get out. So I just wanted to shout out a few people. And Leah, thank you so much for being with us, and we appreciate you, and keep doing the great work that you're doing. And everyone, remember, since we spend all of our time thinking these 50,000 thoughts a day, we must think with power and utilize power thinking. Take care, everyone. Have a great one.